Did you come from Kentucky for this meeting?
Oh, no.
You what? Where are you living now? Where? Man, that's always, it's not that bad right now.
No.
So it's going to get bad.
No, I hope they will.
Frank has a cat. But hey, he's got comfortable cat for house. Neighbors, damn neighbors. What did King Michael say? Neighbors are very. I can see that. I agree. Yeah.
Okay, so that's all we want to do.
Well, and I missed the snowstorm on the East Coast when it happened.
How were you doing on the East Coast?
Now, that's where my husband's family. That's where he's a transplant. So we got a dropped her daughter off in Sheridan, and then Tennessee took 3 weeks. Dragged our fifth wheel back there and came back home. And while we were there, the snow and the rain and the wind hit. And we come back like a tornado hit Jackson. There was trees all over the place. Oh my God, it was bad. But luckily, our son had flown out there to meet us because he couldn't take all that time off. And he flew back the day before that. Got into town about noon. Thank God he was back on Florida. So make sure that we didn't have any trees coming through our house. We got a bunch of willows. I was hoping. No, I like those. They're good shade trees. Pine trees will be at some point. We could go buy big ones.
Are you guys going to agree to wait for?
Let's start the meeting back.
Nick.
Circle up.
Hey, is there a zoom pointing outwards? Can these guys see the? Like if we turn that up around, or is that what they're looking at now?
That's
He
what they're
sees
looking
it.
at on the
Never
big
mind. He
screen.
sees it. He sees it.
Yeah,
They're on this camera.
yeah.
Testing. Let's everybody have a seat. Continue. let's do a quick roll call to see if everybody is here. Vice President Broussard, you're here. Commissioner Glick, are you still on the line?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Commissioner Daigle is here in the room. Commissioner Berry is off today. Commissioner Leinen, are you on?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Commissioner Kura, yes. Commissioner Checo, are you still on the line?
Yes.
Thank you. Commissioner Wildcat, are you still there? Commissioner Wildcat? Commissioner Davis?
Hello.
Okay. We do have a quorum. Commissioner Wildcat, are you there? All right, everyone, we're at item number 6C, 307, horse racing's simulcast application. We've been discussing the 100-mile rule concerns and issues with that. How do you want to proceed, commissioners? We need some clarification. I think we're good.
I don't know my pickup.
307 horse racing is not prepared at this time to enter into an agreement with Wyoming Downs or Wyoming horse racing on the 100-mile rule. So, commissioners, it's we've got a couple directions I believe we could go on this. How it's been interpreted for the last number of years. I'm trying to find my paperwork. I dropped it. How it has been interpreted by this office, I believe, and the AG's office as well, is no simulcasting may be conducted within 100 miles of any premise permitted under this act, except the commission may waive the 100-mile limitation if the simulcast permit application includes written approval from the permittee whose permitted premises is within the 100 miles. How it's been also clarified in rules as well is the premise is the live event. And chapter 10, on page 10.9, duties of a simulcast operator, I believe it is. Simulcast operator shall not operate a simulcast facility during the time, and the key word here is obviously time, a live parimutuel event is being performed within the state if such facility is within 100 miles pursuant to 1125.102A 7C. So that clarifies that the premise is the live event. So without an agreement in place at this point in time, Wyoming Horse Racing and Wyoming Downs would not be able to conduct simulcasting during the time the live event is being performed. So we would go back the way we did it several years ago, where the commission would be contacting the ATVs, telling them to turn off machines and signals during whatever first post is till after the last race. The operators could come back with the amended application at some point once they've developed their agreement and submit a 100-mile limitation agreement if they would like to. So,
Are we still public comments?
well, it would be HHR as well. HHR falls into the same category as simulcasting. Commissioners, are you all hearing me on the Zoom call? Bob, you want to give me a thumbs up? Okay.
Hey,
had
Charlie,
a-
this is Jenny. I had to jump on my phone, so sorry about getting in late again.
No worries. Thank you, Jenny. Appreciate that. We do have a public comment here, President Davis, if that's okay.
Yes, go ahead, Charlie.
And Mr. Nelson with Wyoming Downs, LLC would like to speak.
President Davis, the commission appreciate Aaron Nelson being on the So here we have the effects. 307 will not negotiate, but we want to be clear that Wyoming Downs will go ahead and waive the 100-mile rule for them, but they're on the record they want to negotiate after the fact. Thank you. This will affect jobs. This will affect OTVs. This will affect HR. This will affect horse racing in our facility and other issues. The 100-mile rule. Thank you.
We have another public comment from Josh with 307 Horse Racing.
I think we were actually in discussion with Wyoming Downs over the right? Councils. We had solution.
Can't hear him.
Our legal counsels were in contact during the 20-minute break on the same thing. Thought we were on the same page, but I guess we're not here. Basically, without giving us 20 minutes to make a decision on something we haven't seen agreements to, I can't in good faith operate a business like that for 20 minutes. So we're happy in good faith to have discussions with them when our permit is issued. We expressed that to their legal counsel. My counsel did. I thought they were good with that. So that was our intention, actually.
Charlie, could you give us a brief summary of what was said?
Yeah, President Davis, this is Troy. To summarize, I think there was some conversation between legal, but I don't know if Eric was involved. But Josh, with 307 Racing, was open to further discussion.
Further discussion after the 20 minutes. I'm at this point that we would, Wyoming Downs, waive the 100-mile rule for 307. They're not inclined, which I respect, to do that at this time. So after the application, if you approve the application, we will be shutting down Gillette and Sheridan during that live lead period. That's it. And we have offered a handout, and we said not at this time. That's the way I understand it. Do I understand something different? No, I think. I believe this has to do completely with the statute and the rule. I think we had discussed this right now. As you previously stated, the 100-mile rule in the statute states that you cannot operate an OTV at any time during, within a live pari-mutuel event. Am I correct? The statute states that. The rule is different than the statute. Okay. My attorney we're trying to figure out a solution with these guys. That's why you contacted their legal counsel. But I can't do anything in 20 minutes, guys. I mean, we couldn't try to negotiate good faith with them before we had a license. So, I mean, they have agreements outside of the board, so it's not a gaming commission issue, is it? Am I correct? They have agreements outside to let each other operate within a 100-mile radius. That's not a rule within the gaming commission board that I'm aware of. Especially if you get a gaming license.
So if I'm hearing correctly, Charlie, both sides of the argument is there is not an agreement at this time, but it is possible before the live meet would occur that an agreement could be brought together.
Yes.
Is that what I just heard?
Yes. I believe that's what I heard as well.
Okay. They need time to consult with their legal counsel. So at this time, is there a motion on the floor, Charlie?
I believe we do have a motion.
Yes.
Yes, we have a motion on the floor. It's conditional by Commissioner Lyman. Provide the Campbell County approval for simulcasting as well as the Horsemen's Agreement. It was seconded by Troy. Locations also then, I think Commissioner Lyman added to that, providing the floor plans and all the necessary information that's been required for the Bluegill location prior to opening those at OTB.
Okay. So is there any further discussion?
It appears to be no further discussion in the room here. Does anyone on the phone have any discussion, commissioners or anyone else?
Is there a call for the vote?
I call the vote.
Troy called for the vote.
Okay, then I would ask for a roll call vote, please, Charlie.
Thank you. Vice President Broussard.
Aye.
Commissioner Glick.
Aye.
Commissioner Daigle.
Aye.
Commissioner Berry is absent. Commissioner Lyman.
Aye.
Commissioner Kura.
Aye.
Commissioner Pacheco.
Aye.
Commissioner Wildcat.
Aye.
Thank you. And President Davis.
Hi, Charlie.
The motion carries 307. Horse racing application for simulcasting and historic racing has been approved, subject to receiving Campbell County's approval, as well as the Horsemen's Agreement and the floor plans for Blue Hill and all the other documentation that we do require with those specific locations.
Thank you, Charlie.
Thank you. Moving on to item 7, Wyoming Downs LLC. It's a request received in August 20th, 2020. Airmax software update, HRS 3.24, to include 1 new wagering profile and 1 new associated game theme. Staff report: O'Grady's Golden Bounty, is a leprechaun themed game using the WP3 P5 plus P2 P5 plus OG wagering profile. It's multi-denominational, selected by the player. The following denominations. I didn't say it now. 40 cents and $2. For each, the player may wager between 1 and 10 coins. The value of each is equal to the denomination of the game. The game offers 2 pari-mutuel pools for each coin, resulting in a total of 20 commingled pools. The game has been reviewed using the 18-point review method. Upon completion of the review process and watching the submitted game, it has also been determined that the results of historic thoroughbred races compared against the player's selection are the only determining factor in the outcome of the player's wagers. That was in the GLI report. The outcome of the game is entirely determined by the player's picks, evaluated against the results of historic horse races. The entertaining display of the game is populated deterministically using only the player's choices and the winning horses in the historic race without any intervention of random elements. The submission is consistent with other approvals and appears to be compliant. In part of our review process, we review each game individually and have the following points that we touch on, and it's in your packets, Commissioner. Game theme specific specifications, yes, they were provided. Game theme denominations, yes, they were provided. The rules that apply to the ARCI rule 004-105. The video of the gameplay was provided. Historic horse racing it's chosen at random. No, it was not chosen at random. The races are. The terminal display of the race replays the official results and identity shall be reviewed after the wager has been placed. That was done. Cash, it's cash or cash vouchers. Yes, GLI report. It's GLI report SY 399 AM 2009-430. The outcome of the parimutuel event is solely based on the deterministic value of the historic horse race. It's on page 63, I believe, of the report. The races did previously occur. The opportunity for skill and judgment is applied. It's not controlled by chance alone. Takeout is within the statutory restriction. It's a blended anywhere from 6 to 10% with a blended rate of 8.9. The display odds or parimutuel pool amounts are displayed. Yes, past performance is available. Race videos are displayed, and the race video available for replay is provided. Commissioners, you have all the information in front of you. The summarization of the 18-point inspection, and I recommend the approval of the Paramax version 3.24 as submitted. It appears to be not in violation of rule or law.
I move that we approve Paramax software update HRS 3.24.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Any discussion amongst the commissioners? Any public? Has the question been called?
Joyce calls for the
Do we need a roll call vote on this, Charlie, or just a aye?
We'll continue to do roll call votes. Vice President Broussard.
Yes.
Commissioner Glick.
Aye.
Thank you. Commissioner Dale.
Aye.
Thank you. Commissioner Berry is gone. Excuse me. Commissioner Lynan.
Aye.
Commissioner Curra.
Aye.
Commissioner Pacheco.
Aye.
Thank you. Commissioner Wildcat.
Aye.
Thank you. And President Davis.
Aye.
Motion carries. Moving on to the next item here, this is a presentation from Wyoming Downs LLC. The request was received August 11th, 2020. It's the mini site location presentation. I'll either turn it back over to the commissioners. You have all the information that was presented. And a proposal, just for your knowledge, for everyone in the room, the request has not been reviewed at this point in time by legal counsel. That's why it's a presentation and discussion to see if this is something you're interested in moving forward, commissioners. So I would turn it over to either Mr. Nelson or your legal counsel, Tracy.
Thank you. President Davis, fellow commissioners, Executive Director. Tracy Laycock on behalf of Wyoming Downs. Can everybody hear me okay online? Am I speaking loud enough?
Yes.
Great. We would actually call the commission to action today. This was submitted on August 11th. We're requesting the commission to approve 5 mini site locations in Uncharted County, Wyoming. Just for a little bit of background, this is the first time we're approaching the commission with an idea like this, and frankly, it's the advent of technology, and that's why we're able to come to the commission today with this idea. Under the rules and the statutes, we are required under our OTB locations to offer simulcast. And really before, the technology was not there for us to be able to offer that. And right now with FastBet United Tote, I will let people more experienced and with more knowledge than I answer any specific questions with regards to those applications. We are now able to offer simulcast betting on a person's tablet or phone, and then to really protect us, patrons not being able to make those wagers off-site. We do have geofencing technology, which we currently use at OTB locations and at the live track. So when a person gets so far away, then they're no longer able to access that application, which is important as well. So we are in the materials. I'm happy to stand for any questions that you may have. We've delineated, just like we do with our OTBs, a location of machines for each location. If there needs to be a delineation for age, how we're doing that. In addition, there are layouts in the back where you can see all of those things. We will put a terminal, well, I'm probably not using the right word, it's probably cringing right now, but it's the kiosk to be able to pay tickets. So here at these locations, there won't be any money passing hands between bartenders. And so, just another level of security. These locations all meet the legal requirements under the statutes and the rules. And so I'm happy to stand for any questions. If anybody from Wyoming Downs feels like they need to supplement any of the specifics, we're happy to answer any questions.
President Davis, Commission, I appreciate it. We've worked on this for years. We've spent hundreds of thousands of dollars in technology. The way to take a look at this is very simple. These are mini OTBs. There's nothing in the rules and regs that prevents us, and we're not violating or asking any changes. All the facilities are legal sites. They're bars or truck stops. There are facilities that we've come back in. Now, just a little bit more on. So all the legal parts of the rules and regs have been met. We're looking for action today for the approval of these 5 locations. It means more taxes. In Corona County, we went to them. They approved it 100%. And so we have the approval from the county, which we will get from every county, all 14 counties that we're legal in. Now, the skill game guys are approved in the state. In fact, the negotiations with the county or the presentations had more questions on skill games and how they work. And can they put them in churches? Can they put them in, any place they want, laundromats? And basically, they're being operated with no rules, no regs. They can operate anywhere. And so we're trying to compete with that operations there. And we're asked for your approval of those areas. They report real time, meaning Charlie could pull up our facilities and those machines are counted. They're better than any machines out there in the market today. We need that revenue. We have taxes, jobs, higher purses. All the bars that we're with want these facilities. The county wants them. The horsemen want them. The public wants them. They're very safe. The safety issues there, we're spending $20,000 to $30,000 that the bartenders don't have to cash the tickets in and out. So we've devised the plan and spent a lot of money on these 5 locations, and those equipment are sitting because they're just mini locations, meaning they're mini OTBs. So excuse me 1 second. That's my wife. Anyway, I'll put her on hold. Take it. I better take it. No, anyway. So anyway, it's a safe issue. And if in any event that the commission can always say, no, we don't want it. These are a test market. So we're competing, there's no question, with the skill game operators. And so we want the same opportunities that they have because we have all the rules and regs. We have the compliance issues there. The safety issues are in place. There's no reason, we only have 11 locations. They have 350 locations. And now we're competing with an additional operator. So to keep our purses up, to keep the track improvements going, we're trying to save the industry. That's what we're doing. So we're looking to the future there. And if I understand it correctly, Director Moore, it was on for action to be put on for action for approval today. I'm not sure if I can answer any more questions, but these are just mini OTBs where everybody wants them. Everything's legal. We're in full compliance. even though legal may not have looked at it. I don't know, because it's exactly the same thing that an OTB is. So it's just a mini location. I don't know what they've looked at, to be honest with you. If you have any questions, I'm here to answer questions and build it, but we're excited about this. The horsemen are excited about this. We're excited to be out there with the best equipment in the marketplace today.
Is there any questions for Wyoming Downs from the commissioners?
President Davis, this is Commissioner Leinen.
Go ahead, Randy.
I believe Rebecca is in the room. Mr. Kaler is not here today. Has our legal counsel had and Eric, you can say whatever you want. They're legal, and all this other stuff. But unless we have something that our legal counsel has looked at, I would hesitate to take any action today. And I'm asking Rebecca, basically, have you guys, has the AG's office had a chance to look at these?
Mr. President, this is Mike. I am present on the video here. We have not, at this point, we didn't see that there was a full application before the commission. This is something that that certainly would be a departure from what the commission has regularly done. And so it would be prudent to go ahead and review these mini site locations in light of what we've been doing in the past to make sure that this is something that's authorized by law.
Thank you. At this point, President Davis?
Go ahead, Randy.
At this point, I would like to make a motion to table any action on this until the AG's office has had a chance to review it.
President Davis, we do have a comment from the public here in response.
Go ahead.
Move forward.
Thank you, President Davis. And through Commissioner Lyman, I just guess a couple of things. One is we believed this is the way we've always applied for OTB locations. And we did not change anything about our application the way we've traditionally done it. We went ahead and got county approval. So I'm uncertain what additional information or what formal application process we were supposed to follow. If the commission has or needs additional information, that's why I sent it well before the September meeting on August 11th. We'd be happy to supplement or answer any questions. And then I guess just moving forward, we've done this for the skill games, and we would just request the same, is that we would request a special meeting be held for the November meeting to take action on this item.
I guess my only comment, I appreciate that, and I think that, the commission needs to take a little time to take a look at it, especially if Mike needs to review it. I would like to encourage Mike that is this something that we can do within the next week or 2 weeks, and we have scheduled special meetings several weeks out.
I think at this time, what we need to do is we will respond as quickly as possible to the request. The AG's office will respond. If that's what the commission would like us to do, it is up to the commissioners to move this forward, whether that's tabling it till we have more information from legal counsel. It's whatever you would like us to do.
So there's, Randy has a motion.
President Davis, would you like Randy to make a motion? Or what did you?
Randy did make a motion to table this for further legal review. Is that correct?
That is correct, President Davis.
So then we would be looking for a second.
I'll second that.
Then second by Commissioner Pacheco. Now, any further discussion on this? I have one question. In your diagrams that you show there, Eric, They look like they're stationary machines, but yet you refer to a tablet. Is a tablet stationary or is it mobile?
President Davis, this is Tracy Lake, I'm going to down, so I think I can answer your question. So there's actually two things going on. One is you have the 4 stationary machines that are like the historic forest racing terminals that we currently run at the OTB locations. In an effort to satisfy the simulcasting portion of the statute, we will have 2 tablets at each location that will have the FastBet United Tote application on it. And people, so if they don't have a phone with that application on it, they can wager on simulcast events.
Okay, then, so you would have 4 stationary facilities or HR terminals and 2 tablets. That would make a total of 6. Is that correct?
This is Eric Nelson, President. The tablets are just for customers' use if they want to make a simulcasting wager and they don't have an iPhone. So if you have an iPhone, you don't use it. Just like the live track, when you go at the live track, you have the tellers or the FastBet. The technology is fantastic on FastBet because you don't have to interact with the people. We discovered that more people wager on FastBet. But as far as the mini sites, that was more of a description of how we're going to operate them. You know, we operate them just like an OTB, but we're utilizing new technology, which is real exciting, the FastBet technology on your phone. So there's only 4 terminals that we're putting into these locations at this time. And everything else is completely just like an OTB, but we call them a mini OTB or mini site. So there's only 4 HR terminals.
Okay, I'm following you now. All right. Thank you. Is there any other questions?
President Davis, I do have a couple questions.
Go ahead.
Thank you. Mr. Nelson, of the simulcasting part, I'm not sure if I noticed in here, did you note how the videos would be shown in the locations?
The rules and regs require that we display the live racing event or the simulcasting event at the facility. We use technology that we would have a TV there. You can watch one race. In addition to one race, you can also go to FastBet technology and you can wager on multiple facilities and watch the live race on your tablet or your iPhone. And so we're giving a full, we'll be expanding simulcasting. Like for instance, today, right at this location here, I could pull up an ADW, which we have a license, an IDEVET. I can wager on any racetrack in America. You're going to be able to do that at our facilities too. And right now we're restricting it to just those facilities and our OTBs to use that FastBet technology. So that's part of how we present it. It's the equipment that we have today from United Tote is old. It requires a lot of manual care. There's interactions with people. If you have this new technology, just like the racetrack, you've been doing it for years. You can wager at your seat there, stay with your friends. You don't have to interact with anybody, and you can watch any race that you want as a streaming on your phone or on the TV. We'll have guarantee that we'll be in compliance on a TV facility to watch the live race itself.
If I can follow up. Go for it. You had said that United Tote equipment was antiquated. Is that what you said?
We have old equipment out there right now. Some of these terminals that we have are 20, 30 years old. The new technology that's with FastBet, that's United Tote system, is where we're heading for the future there. And that's what we want to introduce. We're introducing the future of all the OTBs and all the mini site locations along with the track. So we're just getting upbeat. We're spending a lot of money. So we're trying to build the industry. I know, Director Moore, you've been very concerned that the handle has continued to go down on the horse racing side. This will reverse that trend. And now we're able to compete with IDEVET in multiple other ADW sites that are here in Wyoming, but we can't do it, and we have the license here. So this allows us to really utilize our ADW license, have the mini sites, and really have a strong growth for the whole horse racing community, because we're making the awareness of horse racing itself, not just HR. We're going to really promote the simulcasting.
If I can follow up too, it is, so this would be similar to a route type of,
Yes, we call it a route. And the reason why I call it a route operation is there's several ways to do it. You can have an OTB where you employ all the people in that OTB. You can have a mini site where you have some of your personnel, or you design it where you're spending extra money as the bars have requested. They don't want to pay a ticket and have to pay the tickets back and forth. So we have an NRT ATM machine that you stick your ticket in and it automatically pays you off. And we service that. We have a route operator possibly in every city that goes around, checks on the machines and empties them and builds them. The bar owners really like it because there isn't this exchange of cash back and forth with the skill game operators or other operators. It's all a self-contained mini site. And so the employees are the bar owners, and our guy rotates in and out, and all the equipment though, and all the keys are maintained by us.
okay, then, so there wouldn't be a Wyoming Downs employee on the locations.
They're on call 24/7.
At the mini site?
As a route operator.
Right, as a route operator. Okay.
Yes.
Right. There wouldn't be a Wyoming Downs employee on site. It would be totally self-service.
Well, we could put a person
Function.
there. I mean, if we felt that that was necessary, we could, but it's not necessary to do that to be in full compliance.
And I'm just asking these questions so the commissioners all understand.
I appreciate it.
You know, that's how we would be operating, you're envisioning. And just so commissioners, in January, we sat in Arizona and we had discussed this. And this is a result of some of that discussion, to try to maybe branch off. Now, the laws have changed and things have changed throughout our state now. And a lot of those locations are being serviced by other wagering activities as well. Commissioners, you've got 5 locations that were presented here. And we have a motion on the floor to table this. You want to call for the vote? Do you want to?
President Davis, this is
Go ahead,
Commissioner
Randy.
Leinen. We've discussed in past meetings and in past years, et cetera, Eric, that you felt confined, and because of the costs of putting these in, that you had to take your simulcast feed basically from one vendor, that they basically had a monopoly. Are you bypassing that vendor by using this?
No, we're using United Total. If that was your question, I'm not sure that was the question.
Well, the concern was that most of the simulcast feeds came from one operator, which was Roberts, and he basically had contracts with the different tracks. I mean, are you bypassing that company that furnishes that simulcast feed?
Roberts Communication is more of a vendor, and they do have some monopolies in the world today as far as decoders. However, part of that monopoly has expired, and the streaming technology that's out there in today's world allows you to bypass part of that product. Part of the product, you carry decoders. Part of the product is not necessary for other racetracks, but we're in full compliance with the racetrack. So you got a vendor kind of in the middle on some of this, but they're not needed anymore.
So the simple answer to my question is yes, you're bypassing it.
Well, I'm sorry. Part of it is yes, we're bypassing part of it. Some we may have decoders for special course. For instance, like the Churchill Down Kentucky Derby. We use a decoder. We really don't need to on that race because it's on the TV. And so we can watch it on the TV and wager on it. The rules are just that we have to make it available. We're making it available now through streaming technology that every racetrack in America pretty much covers now. So Roberts Communication wouldn't be in full control of our decoder costs. That's kind of obsolete at this point.
Okay, well,
Could I ask a question?
whoever I is.
Eric, so how does it play that a lot of your contracts say you have to take the signal through Roberts? You have to have that. So how does that work? How limiting is that going to be? Is that going to be a problem for you getting those signals?
Well, to give you an idea, with the fastback technology, we'll go from right now presenting 4 racetracks at Applebee's. We'll take that up to 50 racetracks that you'll be able to take without the decoder requirements from the tracks. The tracks are in favor of going directly with us. We're not violating anything with track and their contract. They don't have to sell us the signal. We don't have to take the signal. So we tell them, if we can we use your streaming technology? If they say yes, they're on track for, be on our aspect.
Okay, well, Charlie, we have, are there any other questions for Eric?
Is there any questions from the commissioners here or anybody from the public want to have a question? President Davis, Mr. Call has a question, I guess.
Go ahead.
For Mr. Nelson, is this going to be international or is this in-state?
Thank you for the question. It's a good question. Again, Mr. President, Eric Nelson. Currently, your AEW license and your simulcasting license as it exists today, we take tracks from around the world. So currently at our OTBs, we do take tracks and dog tracks from around the world. This only opens it up instead of just taking a very limited amount of facilities because we can't afford 50 decoders. It allows us to take all the track and use the streaming technology. So yes, it is worldwide. But we've limited it to the OTBs, where eventually we'd like to open it up for the whole state and utilize our AEW license, just like 20 other vendors are taking in our dollars right now out of state.
Are there any more questions?
Mr. President Davis, Eric, I understand you kind of answered the question that I posed. One of the hangups that we had previously about bypassing Roberts communication was the fact that many of these tracks had contractual obligations with Roberts, and us as a commission going around that, we were basically party to going around their contract, breaking their contract, which previously we got legal advice that said we could wind up in court because we are facilitating the breaking of a contract between racetracks and Roberts Communication.
That's a very good question. The answer is, no, we're not going to break any rules and regs. We won't take a track without the track's permission. The situation that they may have with Roberts Communications, which generally speaking, all the racetracks control Roberts Communication. It's that when they send the signal out, that was the way they would have to send the signal out. They no longer do that. They stream the signal out in the public forum. So we ask, we tell them what we're doing. We make sure that we can take the racetrack. They're not violating any laws or any conditions of that. So yes, technology has changed, and yes, racetracks have changed their point of view on how we can accept their signal.
Well, I hope you can understand why I want to go ahead and have this tabled until our legal representation has an opportunity to review it.
Yeah, the program that we're presenting will be exactly like an OTB. So they have all the rules and regs, the equipment that are in place today. And so I think that once Mike has an opportunity to review it, that it's just a mini OTB, just like any other OTB that we are operating in the state today, but it only has 4 terminals instead of 40 terminals.
Are there any other questions? I did have one other comment, Eric, on your drawing. Is that social distancing between them terminals?
Yeah, well, We'll have to be, right now, currently, at all our OTVs, we are social distancing as we are here today. And so we'll make sure that we're in compliance. We can put up some plastic barriers, or we can move the machine 6 feet apart. So we'll comply with whatever that issue is.
Okay. Thank you. With that, Charlie, I believe we need a roll call vote.
Thank you, President Davis. Vice President Broussard.
Yes, it's tabling.
Yes.
Yes.
The motion is to table this
Until legal counsel.
the end date or expected date or anything on your motion? It's up to legal. Okay, thank you. Vice President Broussard. Commissioner Glick.
Aye.
Thank you. Commissioner Daigle.
Aye.
Thank you. Commissioner Perry is absent. Commissioner Lyman.
Aye.
Commissioner Curran.
Aye.
Thank you. Commissioner Pacheco.
Aye.
Thank you. Commissioner Wildcat.
Aye.
Thank you. And President Davis.
Aye.
Motion carries to table this and send this to legal for review. Moving on to the next item. Item 7C, a request received September 3rd, 2021, permittee license classifications. They had sent that originally in a prior format, and I had asked them to come back and use our submission guidelines. So this had been sent to us sooner. Basically, it's a classification. Again, this is something that Wyoming Horse Racing and Wyoming Downs and the commission has discussed for quite some time about classifying racetracks, how to go about it, what's done in other states, also keeping in mind that, that we do want to, at least I would assume, we are interested in expanding the industry as well. Commissioners, I would turn it over to Wyoming Downs' legal counsel who submitted this to explain the presentation to you.
Thank you, Director Moore. President Davis, Commission, thank you so much for the time today. This really is a topic of discussion and a presentation today. Any change that would have to happen or occur would have to go through formal rulemaking process, which of course we all know is lengthy and timely and painful. But what we wanted to do is we've been talking about this for a long time, and we wanted to just get something down on paper so we can start discussing it. One of the things I guess I'd like to start out by saying is we don't now have 2 permittees in the state, we have 3. As of today, we have 3 permittees. And my letter was written before 307 Horse Racing was, their application was approved for like horse racing dates and for simulcast. So, I mean, legally, the way if the commission were to decide to grandfather and do a rule of grandfather, you would be grandfathering in 3 of the permittees. And I just want to make sure it's clear that when we say grandfather, I can't pick and choose who the commission would grandfather. Legally, if a grandfathering occurred, it would be whoever the current permittees are. So currently, under the statutes and the rules, if you run 16 days of live racing, you are allowed to run OTB locations and HR terminals. And there's really no limitation, there's no distinction. And I think when we're starting to look forward to the future and thinking about more permittees coming into the state, I think it's worth a discussion on how we're going to ensure quality. And I think everyone in this room is committed to that today. And I think what we want to just talk about, we've talked about this in the past, is as we move forward and as growth occurs, how are we going to try to encourage people to make track investments and the safety of the horsemen? And this is one idea. This is one idea of many. And the idea basically is that if you invest in your infrastructure for live horse racing, in turn, you get more benefit for OTBs. And so if you were to allow a grandfather, it would mean that the 3 current permittees would operate as it exists now, which is that if you have 16 days of live horse racing, you can have OTB locations that are approved in the counties that you go to and through the commission. If a rule like this is passed, it then makes a distinction for anyone who comes in the future. So if someone comes in the future and they ask for a permit, you would say, where are you racing? Do you have your own track? What kind of track are you operating on? And the more investments, that's really the distinction in the different licenses. The more investment in the infrastructure, then the commission allows more OTB locations, more HR terminals for that license classification. That's the brunt of it. I'm happy to stand for questions, but we really did want to bring this up, not for action. We're not calling for action today. We really want to start the discussion, and truly maybe there's a better idea, but we all kind of have these conversations about what we should do, and we thought, well, let's just put something down on paper and get it before everybody and get some different thoughts from the players at the table. So we appreciate your time.
Just quick question. What existing problem is this fixing this? I'm an anti-police.
No, that's good. So I would say that right now, the way that the 2 current permittees operate, you don't have an issue. And I think today we heard a commitment from 307 that they're also committed to the horsemen and to live racing. But I think that the concern is if you allow more permittees into the state and they say, I'm just going to run on a county track over the weekend, and they don't do any track improvements and they don't have good infrastructure for the horses and the jockeys, then we're going to have more safety issues.
But that's not an existing problem.
Currently, no. I think that we've been really fortunate in the state of Wyoming that we haven't had that issue. And you know, when you have someone like 307 Horse Racing who's coming in from, they live in Gillette, you know, they operate in the state. We live and operate in the state. It really is an idea that this is a way that we can ensure as we move forward that we're having the track improvements and the facility investments to ensure safe and enjoyable live horse racing. And of course, Eric has something to say.
The classifications have been around for a long time. I think it's Texas, is that correct? They have Class A, B, and C. And there's a reason for that. It's because if you're putting a lot of money into your track, there's a benefit. Put money and investment in the safety, and advertising run horse racing. The question is, are we HR first or horse racing first? Now in Las Vegas, you have to build 300 rooms and have an unlimited license. If you're in a bar, you can have 15 licenses. There's a reason they don't allow to have 50, 60, because the hotels invest, $50 million in their facilities. And so it makes sense if you have 4 or 5 more applicants come in and they're going to want an application, they have to invest. Right now they don't have to, and they could leave tomorrow and have harm to the industry itself. So we're trying to increase the safety issues, increase the integrity of our racing industry right now. If we don't have that, then there's really no use in owning a racetrack and making any improvements. You can just open up anywhere, and what your real business is HR. So we're trying to bring simulcasting up and the racetrack facility to be our #1 goal. So really have a quality meet and not force, but hopefully force other track operators to do the same thing. If you're going to invest $25 million in a racetrack, you get an unlimited license. If you're going to run a fair meet, you can run it. You can have HR in your account, but you limit it. That's what the other states do, and this is something that Wyoming needs to take a look at. The discussion should come forward. And protect our industry. The horsemen should want this too, because a negative effect will affect the number of races, the purses. If there's too many dates, too many versus without the quality and assurances that we have today that's in place.
Is there any additional questions from the commission? Commissioners, what would you like staff to do on this?
Well, this is a tough one, Charlie. It does pose a lot more questions than it does give answers at this point, in my opinion.
That is exactly what it's designed to do, get the discussion going. So would you like me to keep this going and do a little research on the different other states, have this, get their language? Is that what you'd like to do? Bring it back at the next meeting and keep this moving?
Is there, from the commission, is there any questions, or what do they feel?
Mr. President, this is Danny.
Go ahead, Danny.
You know, I, not unlike you, have a lot of questions here, and some of the correspondence in here is kind of left open-ended with, I think, what has to be more follow-up, and I look specifically at section F, where the question is, do any other jurisdictions currently have a version of the rule suggestion? If yes, please attach copies. In the answer to that, there's Texas, Kentucky, Washington have classifications, and that information from those areas, from those states, has not been forwarded to us yet. And I think if we're going to look at this, we need to look at it as in its entirety and potentially reach out to these other tracks, if you will, to find out what they've done and the problems they've faced before we can actually formulate an opinion or a rule on our own. Thank you.
So if I'm hearing you correct, Danny, we need the Charlie to research this with possibly Mike and Rebecca.
That would be my suggestion, and wait for the documentation that in that section F that I just described to be received by us.
Randy?
This will require, if we do this, this will require a change in our rules. And I know Eric knows this. I just want to make sure everybody else does. Normally, a change in rule process, including the public comment period, takes a minimum of 6 months. So even after we research this, then we have to go ahead and rewrite the rules and put this into a rule form, which won't happen right away. And we could be 6 months to possibly even a year before we get this into rules. So I just want to make sure that everybody understands that it's a long process, and I am not, I'm like Danny said, I need more information before I could make any kind of a decision whether we want to go ahead and change our rules. And I think that it's imperative that we get more information and some maybe guidance from these other states.
Are there any other comments from commissioners?
This is Commissioner Wildcat, and I too would like more information on this.
Thank you, Jenny.
Thank you, commissioners. This is Charlie Moore. What we'll do is we'll continue to gather the rest of the information here. As Commissioner Glickett said, you know, we were waiting on the Texas and Kentucky and Washington rules, and we can get those and keep this going. And yeah, that's exactly what this was designed to do, is to get the discussion going. So
With that,
we had a table. I think we can just move on.
yes. Thank you, Eric, for a good presentation. And with that, Charlie, should we go to rules number 8?
Thank you, President Davis. Pursuant to Wyoming statutes 1125-104E, Wyoming Gaming Commission proposes amending rules to reflect changes in the industry to Chapter 1, definitions, and Chapter 8, conduct of races. The rules address outdated language and changes in the industry. We have submitted on September 16th rule changes. As I just said, to Chapter 1 and Chapter 8. They are included in your packet. They are in public comment currently. They only address the digital tattooing of thoroughbred racehorses. So that is in the process. Once we complete the 45-day public comment, we will go ahead and bring those back to you all for final confirming and adoption, and just keep those moving. Are there any questions on the first part of this? The digital tattooing rule that's in public comment. Hearing none, commissioners, would you like me to move on to the next one? Item 8 is Chapter 13. Is that an unlucky chapter? I'm not sure. Skill-based amusement games. As I think all of the commissioners understand, Rebecca and Mike have been working on these along with Mr. Armitage. They did start out originally, I don't know, 12, 13 pages, something like that, and they're now whittled down to 4. And part of that is due to the authority that we were given, or the lack thereof, maybe, House Rule Act 95. I do know that we've got some comments from the skill-based amusement games, and specifically from Cowboy Skill on these. And commissioners, it's whatever you would like me to do here. We can either take these, get these on the record today, their concerns, and then work those. Truly don't necessarily feel like these rules, while Mr. Kaler and Ms. Zish and I are comfortable where we're at with these rules, I think it would be okay if we held them off and reviewed the language that may be proposed today for the November meeting. It's up to you, gentlemen and ladies.
President Davis. This is Commissioner Leinen. You're muted, Bob.
Oh, imagine that. Go ahead, Randy.
I would like to make a motion to go ahead and table this for further review and take it up again on our November 13th meeting. I've gone over it twice, and again, like Charlie said, either direction or lack thereof from the law as it was written. I don't want us to make any mistakes or leave a hole in something. I reviewed the one when it was longer. I reviewed this. There isn't. I wish personally we had more meat in this, but I know that because of the way the law was written, we weren't given that direction. But I'd like to have it tabled.
Okay, with that, Randy, is there a second?
I'll second it.
Danny will second that.
Okay, been moved and seconded. Discussion? Commissioners, your feelings?
Mr. President.
Go ahead, Wayne.
I would like to have Charlie expound on, he said it was 13 pages, whittle it down to 3. Can you expound on that, Charlie, please?
Charlie?
Davis, Commissioner Pacheco, part of the reason is we went into this, we had worked with one of the other states that offers skill-based amusement games, and we had taken their rules and mirrored those into our initial template, so to speak. And Mr. Armitage worked on those, spent a lot of time on that. And then as we started walking through, we realized that we had to simplify it. And it's just basically, you know, a lot of it, some of it was repetitive. It was already covered in statutes. And so we didn't need that. And that's also been a destination that this governor and the previous governor and the AG's office has been trying to do, to eliminate a lot of your repetitive. We're no longer required or expected to put statutes in rules. There's no need for that. Rules are rules, statutes are statutes. So that eliminated a lot of the definitions were, again, repetitive definitions that were definitions in the statute, and we didn't need to do that. And then at the end of the day, a lot of it is just, like I said, is for all practical purposes, the way the law was listed out, the rules just have to be fairly minimal. Did you want to say something, Rebecca? Pull me out of where I'm going.
As Charlie has said, the statute and the act that enables us to be able to make these rules is very limited. And so in our legal review of it, what we were really looking at is kind of a two-pronged. First, this is a sunsetting act, and therefore it's very limited what we can do when the permittees and the licenses will expire at that time. We cannot look beyond that period of time to what may come afterwards. We can only regulate what is before us at this time. And so really the mandate of what these rules can cover is found in Section 4 of the Act that says necessary to implement and administer this Act. And so we have to look very carefully at what that entails in light of the limited scope as far as when these licenses expire, and also very much so in light of the very specifics in the statute that already define the application, what was required when we were required to give the license. This is a very unique act in the sense that it mandates a lot more and puts a lot more structure to the licensing than a lot of acts that the legislation usually sets forward, which gives the licensing commission a little more room to evaluate what is appropriate. And that was done in light of the fact that it is a sunsetting act. They very much wanted to experiment with what this looked like. They were going to set the boundaries, and then it will be figuring out going forward what that looks like. With if it is continued, there will probably be a very different structure as far as what the commission can do and what the statute set for. So the reason that the meat and potatoes were cut down in this particular one is because the statute itself set forth the application process essentially. And so what was left as far as implementation and administration was very minimal as to what was delegated to the commission itself.
That was a lot better response than what I did.
You have the gist of it, Charlie.
Mr. President.
Go ahead, Dwayne.
And with those comments or with that answer, it's frustrating to try to make a decision on these when moving forward, they may use what we decide on these moving forward. So it's almost a catch-22. And that's the part where I'd like to see the meat and potatoes of it, if that's what we're going to use moving forward, or could be the base for moving forward. So that's why I would agree with the tabling.
Thank you. Any other comments at this time?
Commissioners, would you like to hear from the public here on any changes or additions that they would like to see at this point, or would you prefer that they send those in at their earliest convenience?
Can't hurt to hear from the public, Charlie.
They're shaking their heads now.
Well, if there's no further comment, then I would suggest We need a roll call vote to table this till November.
Thank you. Vice President Broussard.
Yes.
Thank you, Commissioner Glick.
Aye.
Thank you, Commissioner Daigle.
Aye.
Thank you, Commissioner Berry is gone. Commissioner Lyman.
Aye.
Thank you, Commissioner Kura. Thank you, Commissioner Pacheco.
Aye.
Thank you, Commissioner Wildcat.
Aye.
Thank you, and President Davis.
Aye.
Motion carries to table this. Moving on, if that's what you'd like me to do, to item 9A, bingo and pull tabs. At this point, I didn't have a lot of information.
Charlie?
Yes, sir.
I have a question here. Do we have a B on rules?
Yeah, that's 13.
That was B.
That was B.
A was the chapter 8, chapter 1, just update.
Okay, thank you.
Would you like to have another one?
Oh,
Okay, item 9, getting into the general gaming aspect of today, is the bingo and pull tabs. Just an update on bingo and pull tabs. We're going to start putting notices out in more of the papers across the state, letting everyone know that bingo and pull tabs and Calcutta is required to be licensed by the state. Now that we've got everybody back from the live race meet, we're going to start focusing on getting that information out to everybody and being in the middle of that, having a better presence with bingo, pull tabs, and Calcutta. One of the things with the bingo, hello? Hello?
did we lose them all?
You want me to continue?
Yeah, I guess. Wait,
Okay, I don't know what.
I don't know what happened.
Just a good thing to remind everybody, bingo games conducted or pull tabs which are sold by a charitable or nonprofit organization, where the tickets for the bingo are sold only in the state, and pull tabs are sold only on its premises, owned or occupied by a charitable or nonprofit organization. How we have interpreted that is that bingo and pull tabs are sold on the premise of the charitable and run by the charitable, not offering bingo and pull tab off premises and then paying back to those charities. So Calcutta is a very similar. We have had a few Calcutta license submitted to us this year. I'm not sure what the number is right at this point. Commissioners, that's really all I have for that first part. We would move into 9C if you'd like to. Everybody is nodding their head here. Would you like me to move to 9C? Thank you. 9C, just to kind of bring everybody up. This has been a bit of a continuing discussion that we've had concerning skill-based music games, and it was raised by Black Hills Novelty originally, and continues to be. They submitted us a license, amended application, and prior to getting into this, I'll read you again what House Enrolled Act 95 says about this. House Enrolled Act 95, Section 1H provides that no establishments shall have more than 4 skill-based music games at any time. Only an establishment that had a skill-based music game operating within the establishment as the effective date of this section may continue to have skill games operating pursuant to this section. So basically, and again, in the last meeting, in my summarization of this, in order for the commission to allow replacing those games, the establishment must have had a skill-based music game operating prior to these locations. We determined these games were not skill-based music games in those locations. Therefore, the establishment did not meet the requirement of 1H. You do have an application here. Consideration that we received 813 of 20 from BH Novelty and BH Vending LLC for bank shot games to be placed in the Center Bar, Gillette, Wyoming, Powers West, Gillette, Wyoming, Jack's Drive-In Liquor, Gillette, Wyoming, East Side Liquors, Gillette, Wyoming, Hank's Lounge, Wright, Wyoming, and the Perkins Tavern, Newcastle, Wyoming. Also the Montgomery Bar in Gillette, and the Moose Lodge in Gillette, Wyoming. These bank shot games, I believe, originally, correct me if I'm wrong, Mr. Garamendi, are currently in possession or were approved from locations. Is it S&S? To repeat what he said, S&C Vending, which is a approved operator in our state and has games. These games came from S&C, and they were locations that either closed, didn't open back up after COVID, but they were on the original group of skill games that we received from bank shops. That is my summary of this. Again, we had extensive conversation about this at our last meeting, and due to the fact that we didn't have a application in front of us, we didn't have any further action. It's a robocall I get every day from Powell, Wyoming. Commissioners, what's your pleasure? Or you need to go into executive session to receive any additional comments from legal.
We have a motion then to go into executive session for legal counsel.
No, we do not have a motion. I just said that would be an option if you felt it. Troy has moved to go into an executive session.
Second.
Bagel has seconded it. And we're going into executive session pursuant to 16-404-05-89. We will go into executive session immediately, vacate the room. Oh, yes, we do. We need to have a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Yeah, we got time for a potty break.
Nick, are you killing everybody in there? We're working on it.
Hey, John.
Charlie, I'm just wondering, with everybody on Zoom, with that microphone, even with the doors closed, you can still hear it. So just, I don't know if there's something we can do to. We can go over there. Like maybe, yeah.
Eric, if you could go ahead so we can get out, please. Thank you. We'll
Just
call
so
you
you
right
know,
back.
it's just really loud and we can still hear it out.
Did you want me to say your turn?
I'll make sure that everybody, I can hear it on.
Fine.
Okay.
Good. Go, we're still outside.
Hey, about the Supreme Court.
Yeah. Wow. My phone was blowing up over there.
Oh, we're busy with you.
Well, I got like 50 people.
I'll wait in line, maybe the next week.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, thank you.
Let's roll. Nobody wants to join us, that's fine.
Pick them up, Sherry.
We can reconvene the meeting. Everybody come in here. We'd like to reconvene as soon as possible. Commissioners, we need a motion to go back into regular session.
I move that we go back into regular session. I'll second.
We have a motion from Commissioner Vice President Broussard, seconded by Commissioner Kura, to go back into regular session. Mr. Broussard is called for the vote.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carried, Charlie. We're back in live executive meeting.
Thank you. Commissioners, we're back on item 9, general gaming, C, skill game, amusement games, B and H novelty, and BH vending LLC amended applications.
At this time, Charlie, do we need a motion in
Yes.
order to go into discussion?
Yes. Yes.
Is there a motion to entertain this application?
President Davis,
Yes, Randy.
if we don't have, if we don't have a motion and in second, it can die right where it's at.
Very true. Is there a motion? Hearing no motion, Charlie.
Commissioners, I think that with this, we do need to have a vote on the application.
Need to have a, yeah.
Yeah, I think that would be appropriate to have a vote on the application, Commissioners.
President Davis,
Yes, Randy.
I will make the motion in the affirmative that we accept the application.
In the affirmative, that we accept the application. Is there a second?
Have a second? Mr. Daigle seconded it, doesn't it?
Commissioner Daigle seconded.
Yes. We have a motion to accept the application. We have a second. Commissioner Daigle, now we have discussion, if any.
President Davis,
Yes.
Commissioner Lyman, I plan to vote no on this. And the reason I plan to vote no is I do not believe they are compliant, and you cannot, that they were not compliant with their application. They had non-skill-based games in their establishments. They did not have skill-based games that we could approve in the establishments by the time the governor signed the law.
Okay. Is there any further discussion here?
Commissioner Wildcat, I had a question. Is it to accept the application or to approve the application?
Randy? Was to
It would be to approve it. Sorry.
Thank you.
Good question. Is there any further discussion amongst the commissioners? Any discussion from the public?
Commissioners and Mr. President, if I may, this is Nick Dillinger, of Love Now Law Office in Gillette, representing Black Hills Novelty and Black Hills Gaming. As we discussed in length at the last meeting, as well as the words of Representative Walters in support of this, We believe at the time my client was compliant. The subsequent denial of the games, making them non-skill based, did not change that they were in location prior to the governor's orders. And as such, that's why the amended application is in front of you. She has amended her application, followed all of the procedures as required by the commission in order to put in compliant games. And we believe that there is an ambiguity in the statute, as my letter outlined in the last commission meeting. And under the rule of lenity, it requires the presumption to be in favor of the applicant. Thank you.
Thank you. Well, if I'm understanding everything correctly, we have an operator that was legal at the time, operating what they thought were legal games, but were not legal.
They were later deemed to be illegal or non-compliant. As a result of that ruling, those games were pulled immediately, and that's why the application is before you today to reinstall compliant games.
So the question that you're asking is approval to install compliant games. Is that correct?
Yes, it is.
Okay, thank you. Commissioners, any more discussion? At this time then, Charlie, without any further discussion, call for the vote.
Thank you. Vice President Broussard.
No.
Commissioner Glick.
Nay.
Thank you. Commissioner Daigle.
Nay.
Thank you. Commissioner Perry is not here. Commissioner Lyman.
No.
Thank you. Commissioner Curran.
Nope.
Thank you. Commissioner Pacheco.
Nay.
Thank you. Commissioner Wildcat.
Nay.
Thank you. And President Davis.
Nay.
The motion does not carry. The application is denied. Moving on to item number 9C2. Consideration of Patriot Game LLC offer of compromise. At this point, we need to go into executive session. Once again, commissioners.
And I'd like to move that we go into executive session.
We have a motion, Commissioner Broussard, Vice President Broussard, to go into executive session.
Second.
And seconded by Commissioner Daigle. We're going into executive session pursuant to 16405A9. A3 and A9. Thank you.
Waiting for that. That was.
President Bob Davis, can you hear me? Shake your head. This is Troy. I move that we go back into regular session.
Second. Seconded. We have a motion and a second to go back into regular session. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? Hearing none, we're back into regular session. We're on item number 9, general gaming. Skill-based amusement games consideration of Patriot Games LLC offer of compromise. Commissioners?
I'll make a motion to consider the Patriot Games LLC offer of compromise.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Call for the vote.
And we do not have any discussion on this, is that correct?
I move that we accept the consideration of Patriot Games LLC offer of compromise.
That's fine.
So commissioners, what we have is a motion to accept the offer of compromise, Patriot Games LLC.
Could we have a roll call vote, please, Charlie?
Yes, thank you. Vice President Broussard.
No.
Commissioner Blick.
Nay.
Commissioner Daigle.
Nay.
Commissioner Berry is absent. Commissioner Lyman.
Nay.
Commissioner Curran. Commissioner Pacheco.
Hey,
Commissioner Wildcat.
Nay.
Thank you. Commissioner Davis.
Hey,
Motion does not pass. The offer of compromise is denied.
I guess the next item is 11, Charlie.
We didn't have any executive session. Commissioners, while we have a skill-based amusement game attendees here in the room, can we take any updates from them? Is that appropriate at this time? Just general public comment. They're all shaking their heads that they want to go home, they've not had a fun day. If anybody would like to, in the public or on the phone, they're representing skill-based amusement games, if you would like to comment on anything, you're more than welcome to.
Good afternoon, my name is
Yes.
Kristen Lee, and I'm with.
Get you a microphone here. Sorry.
It's coming, it's coming, it's coming.
My name is Kristen Lee, and I'm with the law firm in Cheyenne, Wyoming, but we represent Ainsworth, who's out of Las Vegas, and they're here for this demonstration. And we'd be happy to do the demonstration afterwards, and if anyone's interested. So we appreciate being invited to attend, and look forward to if anyone's interested in the demonstration.
Thank you very much.
And I guess I can offer too, if we turn the camera around, people on Zoom might be able to see it as well. I'll offer that. I don't know if that's how it works, but.
I think what we'll do is, commissioners, at the end of the meeting, if you would like to go over there and get a demonstration from them, that would be awesome. Anybody else? Otherwise, commissioners on the broadcast, what we would do is maybe set up another time for you if you'd like to see a closer view of the games and do it via Zoom in a separate time. So
I couldn't hear what she said. What is she doing a demonstration of?
it's the Ainsworth game. After the meeting is done, we're going to have some kind of demonstration from the terminals from Ainsworth. So our next scheduled meeting is November 13th. For some reason, I was thinking November 3rd earlier.
That's election day.
Yeah, that's okay. Okay, it was a good date. Is there any, Commissioner Davis or President Davis, do you want to close things out?
Adjourned.
Thank you.
Very good.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you. Later, Bob.
I'm gonna leave, guys. I don't know how much I can get on this, so to watch that game run, so. Okay?
All right, thanks, Randy.
Thank you all.
Thank you.